Spider-Man has always been the one who never gives up. But after seeing a possible future where everyone he loves dies, he realized that death is inevitable and simply stopped fighting. The world is falling apart around him. The X-Men are fighting for their lives. Doctor Strange is begging for his help. But Peter Parker doesn't care anymore. The problem is that this dark decision might cost him everything he has. I'm Andrew the Geek Master, and in today's video, we're continuing the saga 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. There's a playlist with all the issues of this comic which I'll leave in the cards and the pinned comment. To not miss stories like this one, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and let's get started. The chapter begins in Felicia Hardy's apartment. Peter wakes up and sees her standing in front of him with a cup of coffee. The hero thanks her and wants to talk about what they did the night before, but Felicia just avoids the topic. Instead, she warns him that she has to leave and asks him to close the door when he leaves. Peter realizes that she doesn't want to talk about what happened, which is good for him because, for the first time, he doesn't have to. Then, when Peter thanks her for letting him stay, Felicia responds that this is what friends do, and she leaves him alone. As soon as Felicia leaves, Peter feels a powerful presence. One of Cyttorak's children is in New York. He even tries to be concerned, but surprisingly, he can't. On the other side of the city, Cradio faces the X-Men, super confident that he'll defeat them. Cyclops quickly realizes they're up against a huge problem and orders them to close the perimeter. Then, Kid Omega and Temper spring into action to protect the people, while Magic and Psylocke head for the attack with Cyclops. Scott shoots at the villain, but Cradio laughs, saying they're not champions, so they can't defeat him. However, at that moment, Psylocke appears behind the villain through a portal created by Magic and manages to stab his head with her psychic blade. This blow would usually be devastating, but Cradio recovers quickly and counters. Scott warns that this is just the beginning, to which Cradio dismisses them, claiming they're weak and unworthy of Cyttorak's power. Then suddenly, Juggernaut finally appears and lands a devastating blow, saying that he's the one who has the power of Cyttorak's gem. Meanwhile, in Cyttorak's throne room, the entity observes the events. One of its servants comments that the Earth's champion, Spider-Man, hasn't shown up yet. Perhaps this means the Covenant has been broken, but it seems Cyttorak is enjoying what's happening. Back on Earth, Cradio and Juggernaut are locked in an overwhelming battle in the middle of the city. The X-Men even realize that Juggernaut is being cornered by the strength of the enemy. Scott asks for more space for him, and as things are getting complicated, he also tells the team that he's open to suggestions. As the fight intensifies, it begins to approach populated areas. The mutants try to protect the civilians, but Cradio presses forward relentlessly. Even with Juggernaut doing his best, he can't hold the villain back, who continues beating the hero. Cradio insists that no one there can defeat him because they're not true champions. However, Juggernaut and the X-Men don't give up and declare that, at this moment, they are the champions of Earth. Meanwhile, Peter continues drinking his coffee calmly when suddenly Doctor Strange appears, claiming he needs to talk to Peter immediately. Spider-Man, impatient, asks if it's really necessary since Strange has already told him this before. Strange responds that he shouldn't be there because more urgent things are happening. He mentions something called the Blight and insists that Peter needs to hear him out. Peter again tries to ignore him, but Strange traps the hero with his magic and says that this time he's going to listen. At the same time, in Cyttorak's realm, Callx feels uneasy ever since he moved away from his father's protection, as shown in the previous video. His body is strange, with symptoms he can't explain, and that cause him some pain. Then he realizes what's happening. Inside him now dwells a true power. His appearance begins to change, and a kind of black smoke starts pouring out of his body. Now, with an evil smile on his face, he looks at his creatures and declares that there's a lot of work to be done. Now, Let's move on to Strange's explanation to Peter about the Blight he mentioned earlier, which is actually a devastating cosmic force. The first time Strange encountered the Blight, he was still young and unprepared for the impact this power would have on him. The secrets of the universe were revealed to him, but along with this knowledge came the understanding of the danger the Blight represented. Strange tried to study it, but the more he investigated, the more he realized it was an immense threat to Earth. He tried to destroy it, but it was useless. The Blight is eternal. It cannot be eliminated because it's a force of nature, existing solely to consume and eradicate life. If it ever discovered the existence of Earth, nothing could stop its destruction. Strange searched across all realities for a way to protect the planet. After much effort, he found a protective spell performed with the help of Cyttorak. At first, he hesitated to use it, but he realized he had no choice. Thus, the pact with Cyttorak was born. The shield that protects Earth is the only barrier keeping the Blight from invading it. The way the Blight exterminates life is through a disease called soul rot. Those infected suffer unbearable torture, and in the end, are forced to hunt and destroy those they love most. Strange warns Peter that there are things worse than death. The chaos the soul rot would bring to Earth is unimaginable. Peter listens, but remains indifferent. To him, it doesn't matter how many threats are avoided. Another one will always come, even worse. Strange, frustrated, grabs Peter by his clothes and stares at him. The X-Men are powerful, but Peter is the true champion of Earth. He has the necessary tools to stop Cradios, and if he doesn't rejoin the fight, everything will be destroyed. However, Peter simply wishes Strange and the X-Men good luck, making it clear he won't get involved. Disappointed, Strange leaves, frustrated by Peter's attitude, but Peter is not alone. He realizes Syra is there too and asks her what she wants. She replies that she didn't come for him. She's here to see the city and her brothers battle against the X-Men. And indeed, outside, the battle rages on. For a moment, Juggernaut manages to knock down Cradios, leaving him practically defeated. The son of Cyttorak, badly wounded, is about to recognize the strength of the mutants and surrender. But before he can do that, an arm simply pierces his heart. It turns out that it was his own brother Callx who killed him. He declares that even if Cradios gave up, he will never do so. Back in Felicia's apartment, Syra watches the scene in shock. She sees her brother murder the other and tells Peter what's going on. Outside, Callx rises before the X-Men and proclaims that from now on, he is the ruler of this planet. Not only that, but he promises to show the world the true meaning of suffering. The X-Men quickly form up to fight again. Scott gives 2 orders. Juggernaut must face Callx since he was successful in their previous fight, while the rest of the team handles the creatures Callx brought, who are attacking civilians. As Kane charges towards Callx and delivers a powerful punch, Callx holds him with just one hand. Disappointed, he mutters that his father gave the best powers to everyone except him. Fortunately, he now has something much better. To prove this, with just one move, he throws Juggernaut far away. The overwhelming strength of Callx worries Kane greatly, as he's never seen anyone stop him like this. Feeling invincible, Callx looks up to the sky and asks if his father is watching his rise. Back at Felicia's apartment, Syra begins to cry. She can't believe her brother Cradios is dead. Then she looks at Peter and says in a dark tone that from now on, everything will get worse. That's because Callx's hounds are attacking the place where Aunt May and Peter's friends are. Peter Parker has always been a hero, but this time, he's made the darkest decision of his life. As the X-Men fight alone and a new terror rises, Spider-Man has simply turned his back on the world. So if you want to follow every detail of this story and see where Peter's decision might lead, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because the next chapter promises to be even more intense. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next adventure.